Hi, I am Marino Fragnito. I am the Chief Commercial Officer at Avio, and I'm Launch Services Activities Director. So Avio is a company which has been existing now for more than 100 years, and we are active in the sector of space and defense. Our main activities are with the Ariane program since the beginning of the program. We have been producing the boosters for Ariane up to the today Ariane 6. We are the system responsible launch service provider for Vega and Vega C. And we are also producing missiles and some specific products for the defense business. Avio has acquired large experience in solid rocket motors production, as I said, since decades. And we're working now in order to introduce new propellants, the use of new propellants, which will be more environment friendly. And we're also trying to move on towards liquid propulsion. We are working on a methane and liquid oxygen upper stage, which will replace the third and fourth stage of the Vega C, of the Vega C configuration. And this stage is also will also be designed to be reusable as far as possible. Um, we are working now. We recently signed both the zero debris charter with ESA, and we signed an MOU with a Japanese company in order to implement a debris prevention device for the only part of our rocket which was supposed to remain in space or to re-enter with a very slow re-entry. Let's say time, which is the double launch structure, which is used when we launch basically two big payloads. So the idea is that we will use this debris prevention device in order to accelerate the re-entry of the upper part of this double launch structure, which is usually put in a low perigee orbit in order to accelerate re-entry, and we want to accelerate re-entry in a few days rather than in a few years. So I think that all the steps that we are undertaking are going in the direction of a clean space. I have to remind that we are one of the few rocket companies which has designed the rocket, the Vega and Vega C rockets, in order to be completely, in order to re-entry completely from orbit once the mission is accomplished. And so we always perform a boost to re-enter the upper stage, the EVUM, once we have placed the satellite in orbit. And this has been done since the very first Vega mission in 2012. I have to say that especially in low orbit, we see more and more satellite constellations with hundreds or thousands of satellites, which are designed to perform the missions of this constellation, both in communication or IoT or observation of the Earth. And many of these satellites have problems in orbit, can have issues, and become debris. So, and this creates challenges to our launch missions, because every time that we perform launch missions, we have to be sure that we have no collision during the launch ascent. These create problems to the other missions, because it generates more and more impacts and damages also to satellites which are operational. So we see that we really start to have an issue, and And so we have to cope with these problems, both in the operations of our launch systems, of our satellites, and we have to find remedies in order to avoid that this debris remain in space. So we have to work towards debris prevention device, debris mitigation device, end of life disposal systems, and we have to design our systems in space um, in order to keep clean the orbits and save our missions. So among the concrete steps that can be taken and will be taken, I have to say that for sure, as I said, these devices which can help to mitigate the problems of debris or prevent the problems of debris are for sure a concrete steps towards this towards sustainability in space. For sure, as we said, to find new green propellants to use or to reuse as much as possible the launch systems without, against the expendable concepts which have been used in the last decades. This can help to keep a green and clean environment in space. Um, but the main thing is, I think, that when we design our launch and space systems, we have to think about sustainability. So sustainability should be one of the main requirements for all our projects in space. A very important point is regulation. So I think that we, as launch system and space system manufacturers and operators, we have to think about sustainability when we design our missions and our space systems. But I think that even more important is that states and international organization um, define and impose the rules for sustainability in outer space and on Earth. Because sometime it costs money to implement sustainability, and if there is no regulation applicable, um, it is quite hard for the companies to keep this in mind and to take it as a driver for our projects. So I think that international organizations and states and nations have to try to work together to implement a regulation for sustainability on Earth and in outer space.